All right, so hopefully by now you've already watched the first video that's been assigned to you for this, and that gives you a really good cultural and more in-depth perspective. So we are going to be making our own little paper alebrijes. Now here are just a few examples, and you are going to either be making a bird or a turtle. You should have that sheet in the packet that was sent home for distance learners. For this project, you should have gotten a sheet that has a bird on one side and a turtle on the other. And you get to decide which one you want to do, okay? So I'm going to start on the bird side. Now, the first thing that we have to do is if you look at the traditional pieces from before, they are broken up into spaces. All right, so I have to break my bird or my turtle up into spaces. And so I think I am going to separate the head space. Broke my pencil head. Separate the head. Maybe drop in a beak there, put some eyes in, and you can look up different pictures if you want to kind of get a good idea of what you want for this, because you don't have to copy me. If you want to break up your bird a different way, that's just fine, or if you want to break up your turtle in a different way than your example shows, that's all good. And then I think I'm gonna do I'll make the pattern break it up here, okay? So I've got to break it up into some spaces for some different patterns. But now I have to decide on my patterns. So I'm actually going to look at this example that you should have on your it's on the earlier in the video, so that you can pause it and look at that there. But I really like how on the wings they're kind of broken up, and then you almost get kind of like a feather effect going on. So I am going to break this up, and I'm going to have a different pattern in these two spots. But then I'm going to have my pattern kind of running down to break these up into kind of feathery sections. Like this. And I'll do the other side the same way next. But then I think I'm going to put some polka dots in here. They're not really polka dots, they're just little dotted lines there. And remember, you're going to have to color this. So if you're choosing to color this with marker, you're going to want to go bigger. If you're choosing this to color this with colored pencil, you can go smaller. But it is up to you what you are going to color it with. Now, for my shapes in the inside, I can choose to kind of match the owl, or I think I'm going to kind of do this thing. It's almost like it's a fish scale, and then I'm going to do just a skinny one. And then I'm going to do a big one again. So I'm going to do a back and forth with those. So you're just going to keep filling until you have a pattern in all of your sections. So remember, they're very colorful. They have lots of patterns. We don't want just I have polka dots everywhere sort of a situation going on. All right, so you can see I've finished. I have at least 5 patterns, which is what you need too. And now I need to add at least 5 colors. So you can use crayons, colored pencils, or markers to color, but just remember, we want really bright, bold, vibrant colors. Markers work great for this. And then depending on how you color with your crayons or your colored pencils, they can work just as well. And since it's a pattern, remember, you gotta color it like it's a pattern, okay? So if I were to color this whole thing solid like this, that doesn't really make it a pattern, but what I could do is, you'll notice I'm kind of coloring lightly because I kind of want a light teal color there. And then on top of it, I'm going to color hard and dark and these so that they stand out a little bit more, okay? So I need at least 5 colors in my 5 patterns. So that's 5 colors total. You don't have to have 5 per pattern. That's a lot. But then once you're done, you got to just double check, make sure, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we move on to the next step. All right, so now that I have it all colored, I need to cut it out. So you have to very, very carefully cut right next to that black line. If you want to leave a little bit of safety space, that's up to you. Remember, safety space is if I left just a little bit of white around it. But you can't just go whoop, okay? The feathers go in and out for a reason. So I'm just gonna keep cutting here. If you cut on the black line a little bit, that's a-okay. We just don't want to cut away our pattern because we worked hard on that. All right, so you're just gonna keep going. So you're just gonna keep cutting, and if you have like a long strip like this, you can just cut it right off, and that goes in the recycling bin later. And done. All right, so right now our sculpture is still 2D and we need to make it 3D. So to do that, you should have gotten, you probably got, I believe you got blue, I have yellow, but you have a piece of construction paper. Now, we're gonna attach it to this, but we're not gonna attach it flat. Okay, so first you have to decide, like with mine, is he flying up, is he flying down? We have to put one piece fully attached. And I'm gonna use a stapler. A stapler usually works best for this, but you could use glue or tape. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my wings and I am going to staple them so that he sort of like rises up into the air, because we don't want him to be flat. We want him to be a sculpture, which means that he is three-dimensional. We're gonna staple there, and then we're gonna staple here. And so now I have a nice sculpture. Now it's gonna be a little hard to take a picture of this, but something that, oop, my cord got in the way. But something that you can think about is you could take it from above like my video here is, and the shadows will let me know that it's 3D, or you could try taking it from the side or what have you, but always be thinking about what's gonna be in your background when you take your picture to upload.